days of giving your best. It's a joyful journey into the holidays, presented by the wise women of Bridget's Place. They're teaching wisdom, compassion, hospitality, and healing. Thank you so much for joining us. Hi there, and welcome to a special edition of Gems of Wisdom. I'm Teresa, your host, and I have two fabulous guests with me here today, and we are going to be discussing what creates treasures of intimate time spent with loved ones during this time of year. Now, our show goal over the past few weeks has been to share ideas and experiences on how we can focus on a new way of experiencing traditions in our 21 days of giving your best. It's a 21-day journey into the holidays, and we've had some amazing contributions. And here we are on day 17. So thank you so much, all of you who have joined us on this journey. Now, one of the problems that we're going to be talking about today with my guests is that we have a high intensity during the holidays. And my first guest, Reverend Bridget Wozniak, is a spiritual director and a deacon in the Episcopal faith from Tucson, and she is going to be talking to us a little bit about it. But with so many people around us and so many events so close together, and many times with people like right there in your immediate living space, it really doesn't leave a lot of time for self-care, especially for those who identify with an introverted personality. My second guest today, Deborah Lynn Dean, who's an art therapist and so much more in women's studies and all kinds of things that she does to help people who are struggling with a variety of problems, but we're going to be talking about the introverted personalities today. But she's going to give us some real tips for making this holiday experience, when we are very close and in close quarters, turning that into an opportunity. Instead of something to just get through, we're going to use this opportunity for spiritual growth for yourself and your immediate circle of family and friends. So I'm going to introduce my first guest right now, Reverend Bridget Wozniak, and I'm going to, we're going to do a quote as well. But first of all, let's just say hi. Hey, Bridget, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good, good. So you're a busy bee today.
Yes. Yes, I had some time teaching at Deacon Formation Academy today, and now I'm finished, and I'm helping you out here.
Yes, you are. You're helping me a lot. So I bet today is a really perfect time for me to, now normally the people who've been listening will know that Bridget chooses all the quotes, but I had to do it all by myself today. And and normally she sends me 3 or 4 quotes, and I pick one, and it's so lovely. But today I picked a couple, and the first one I thought we should just get that going sooner, Bridget. And it is, are you on board?
Yes.
I was born as a forest, but I feel overwhelmed by all these trees. Now, I totally get that. Bridget, talk to me. Why do I feel overwhelmed by the trees?
Well, we don't have a choice when we're born. We're born into a family. It's there. It's, all these people. And usually after our birth, we're surrounded by tons and tons of people. As we get a little older, we realize how many people and how much noise they make. And as we start to do our own differentiation from our family and from those around us, we start to say, wait, I'm a little different from everybody else. I don't like all this noise. I don't like all this togetherness. And so we can see the forest, and we know we're part of the forest, but there is a big piece of us that just wants to run away, plant ourselves elsewhere.
Well, I think that it is tough, and I think all of us can identify up to a point with what we're talking about, but some of us are saying, yes, yes, yes. The holidays are, bittersweet, because I really have a personality type that needs that space in between things and needs that time to refresh and renew. And during the holidays, I just plain don't get it. So Bridget, I know you, and I know how you prepare for these shows. Did you have something you wanted to share, or did you just want to go back and forth a little bit on the topic?
You can go back and forth a bit on the topic if you like.
Well, I think, you've just spent 8 hours presenting into a room full of people, so we can kind of support that by introducing our second guest, Deborah Lindeen. And Deborah's an art therapist, like I said, and so much more. So help me in welcoming her today. Hello, Deborah.
Hi, Teresa. How are you today?
I'm great, and I'm so glad for you and Bridget to be on the show today. The two of you are such an inspiration to me.
Me too. Wonderful. Me too. I'm excited to be on the show with both of you, and I know you, but I don't know Bridget, so I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to say and getting to know her a little more.
Oh, wonderful. And she's going to be talking a little bit later about her wisdom circle and how we're going to be using that a little bit later in the show to demonstrate a great communication style. But Deborah, I wanted to get into our topic today. What creates the treasures of those intimate times spent with loved ones, and how can we self-care ourselves so that we really embrace these opportunities for the intimate times and not just go into the getting through it mode of an introverted personality type?
Okay, great. Well, I think you said a couple of important things. We introverts really have to take care of ourselves in order to be able to enjoy this time. But I think expressing yourself, maybe using art or something like that. Remember, I'm an art therapist, but expressing yourself in a soul-satisfying way really can add a lot of warm memories to your holiday traditions. We have to talk about ritual. And ritual to me means doing things in the same way over and over again as a symbol that points to something larger, something sacred. And it's very meaningful to human beings on a soul level. So an example of ritual, the way I'm using the word, would be attending your faith community on holidays, or even something as simple as putting up your holiday decorations as a family after the Thanksgiving meal. So in our family, each holiday ornament comes with its own story about where it came from, who gave it to us, where we lived, what was going on in our lives at that time. And we take the time to sort of rehearse this every year. As we're taking out each ornament, we're talking about those people. And we wonder what happened to some of the people whose ornaments were still hanging on our tree. We, think about the times we spent with them. Sometimes we're sad that we've lost contact with them. But it's the element of ritual that continues to connect us to them in a deeply satisfying way. So I think one of the first things that I really want to emphasize is ritual and the importance of ritual. We human beings love it.
Well, I think that we can take it a little bit farther. Someone who's not an art therapist like myself, what I'm really hearing is that you're using a symbol, a small piece of art is this ornament, and it kind of anchors a vibration or a connection with a human being, and you're using that as a communication point in the ritual. So that's very, very creative in a communication style, and also it anchors the energy so that it's not like all over the place with, like there's a focus to the conversation, which helps people like me.
Well, yeah, it does. And, there have been times when, after Thanksgiving, I've said, I really don't feel like putting up the tree tonight. I'm just too tired. And everybody protests, oh, come on, we have to put the tree up. Come on.
Oh, my.
And so, I rally and we go get the box out of the attic and we pick up each ornament. And, the people around are like, well, where'd you get that? Oh, that one says First Christmas. Who gave you that? Oh, Aunt Barbara gave you that. And so I've just learned that people have come to expect it and people love it.
Well, I think because it's a family tradition and it's a group thing. It's not just one person's expectation. It's a collective. So I really love that. And I really do. Now, one of the things that you and I had talked about that we wanted to address on the show today is that sometimes people are working through an emotion that may not be joy or, complete ecstasy. There might be, loss of a loved one, or there might be a health issue. There might be something going on that's putting a shadow on the celebrations that they need to kind of work through before they can enter this huge room. Well, I'm exaggerating now. It may be a small room, but it just seems like, okay, I just don't know if I can walk into this celebratory, lots of activity and action, and you have a couple of exercises that people can self-care by themselves using a technique called soul collage that can work through an emotion. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to. Well, one of the types of art that I particularly enjoy is soul collage, and it's a type of art in which you would make small collage cards to represent different aspects of yourself, your family, life events, world, and deeper universal themes. It is a great way to find and experience deep emotions and spiritual growth using soul collage. And so there's a couple of ways that people can use those. But, before I go into that, I want to talk about the holidays, though, and as a therapist, how when I was a beginning therapist, I thought, oh, great, nobody's going to want to come to therapy during the holidays. But it's exactly the opposite. It's totally the opposite, because the holidays put us in close contact, close connection with our family members. And, we don't all come from the perfect family. Being in that family causes those same buttons to be pushed. Now, we're 60 years old, but those same buttons are being pushed. And so, yeah, I found that the holidays are a time when people really do have some vulnerability sometimes about the holidays. So a couple of things that people can do. I guess making a soul collage card is really simple. It doesn't take very long. You just gather up some images and begin to move them around and glue them down. But simply making a collage card is going to take you to a different part of your brain than we normally use. The brain loves novelty. So combining beautiful images into a card is really satisfying to the brain. The brain loves things that have personal relevance. So if you choose to make a soul collage card about, your partner who has died during the past year, that's going to be so deeply satisfying because it's so relevant to you. And the brain loves sensations, our five senses. And so just working with beautiful images, even the smell of the glue, the vibrancy of the colors, all of that really will take you to a different place. And
yes, and
around you.
I think, and Bridget, I'm going to have you comment here in just a moment about this technique, but I think that there's something else to be said about it, and this is just an outsider looking in myself, is that there's no pressure on you to be a great artist when you do a soul collage.
No, not at all.
The thing is that all the pressure of that goes away, and you can just really enjoy the process, access those deeper emotions, and work through them. And then you can put that card in your purse as your personal amulet. Walk into the party where you've never walked into that party without that one person, or, put to the side the concerns for the future that you might have on any level, and be able to really embrace the moment and the feeling of joy that you really want to do. Bridget, do you have anything to add to what Deborah's been discussing with us?
Yeah. So part of what I think that goes along with the ritual and the spiritual growth and the art piece that you're both talking about is finding time in the family for all of you to come together to do something that is creative. And as you said, you don't have to be a great artist to do this. So it can easily be making a paper chain where everybody starts making loops, and you make them together or you make them individually, and then you string all of yours together in a great big paper chain. And we use those as garlands during the holidays, so you're creating a little treasure for the family that you've all done together. The other nice thing is that adult coloring has really, really taken off recently.
Oh, yes.
Yes, it has.
And it has. And the great thing about this is that you can give adult coloring pages to everybody in the family and just say, we're all going to color. And you just give them their choice of however they want to use, pencils, pens. It's the smell of the crayons, the smell of the paint. It's the texturing back and forth and the hearing it on the page. They all calm you down. Everybody's fairly quiet. And the kids can do this too. They can do the coloring pages. If they're smaller, tell them, would you draw our family Christmas? Draw everybody who's here. Draw the tree. Draw what you see around you. And everybody gets to do something that is creative in that time frame. Then you can take what you've done, and if it's a full collage, because that's really fun, pasting things down. Kids love gluing things down. Mm-hmm. And adults really like it, too, because they don't have to actually draw anything, but they can take what they see and move it around in different designs. And
That's
then
easy.
You can take that. Yeah, it is. It's easier. So then you can do one of two things. You can use it as an ornament to hang on a tree. You can make a garland out of them. Or in some places where if you're trying to remember people who either have died in the last year and are no longer with you this year, or people who are far away and can't be with you this Christmas, you can put up, we all use candles at Christmas, so you can put up little votive lights. You might even put names on the outsides of the votives and light the candles and put your artwork with the candles and sit quietly. And remember, don't pray out loud. Introverts don't like praying out loud anyway. But you just sit with that, and everybody gets to say his or her own prayer. And you tell everybody, we're just going to take some time here, and you remember the people that who aren't here with us because either they've died or because they're not just able to come with us this Christmas. And so you have a little ceremony. It's a little ritual of remembrance and honoring all of these people.
Well, I think that is several really good ways to work in a whole different way with a family dynamic that doesn't go into computer games and, everybody looking at their iPhone. I really love it, and I want to thank both of you ladies for coming to the show today with such great ideas. But now it's time to do the wisdom circle, which is my favorite part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing before we go there?
Of course, Deborah.
Okay, one really simple thing to do is to get a really big piece of butcher paper and put it on your table where you're enjoying this massive feast, and just make sure you have a little room for everybody, and just have everybody write or draw something for which they're really, really grateful during the year. And you just kind of go around the table and have everybody share that. It connects everybody in a way that is really lovely, non-threatening, really easy.
I think that we could probably even do another show on these ideas for family connection, because the more I'm hearing the two of you with your ideas, there's a richness there, and we could actually go into more detail with each one. So may I ask both of you to come back and share again with some of these things?
Absolutely.
And I would love to hear some feedback from the listeners as you try some of these things, because I know it's so funny. When I talk about being an introvert, and then I heard Deborah and Bridget say, me too. And there's a lot of us out there that, it's not something that I lead off with. You have to know me pretty well to know, right? Is that how you two feel? We just lead.
Valued, so we have to kind of hide it as much as we can.
you'll just look up and I won't be there. It's not like I walk around to everybody and say, well, I'm an introvert and I've hit my window and I'm going to leave. I'd be an extrovert if I was going to. It doesn't happen that way. So we'll do that. So a few weeks ago, Reverend Bridget shared with me this cute, wonderful, empowering, and kind of interesting way of communicating called the Wisdom Circle, and this is something that she does with her women's ministry, and she's shared it with us, and she's even thinking about continuing it after the first of the year as an online service that she does. But what we do is we use a quote. Now, she's got other ways of doing it that she'll share at another time, but today we're going to take a quote and then just kind of go around the circle with Reverend Bridget going first. And you say anything you need to say, honey, that I might have missed about your circle.
No, we're good.
Was it okay?
We're good.
I'm glad we are. So we're going to start with the quote that says, introverts treasure the close relationships that they have stretched so much to make. And I'll pass the ball to you, Bridget.
Well, I think that that it's a truism, and in the wisdom circle, when we're all seated in a circle and there's really no head, the introverts in the circle over a period of time connect, and they may not connect because they talk all the time, but they're listening and resonating with what's being said, and you can see their body language, you can see the looks on their faces. And as women, we all look and recognize that you don't have to say anything for us to know and to feel your presence in this circle. Outside the circle, it's a little more difficult to do that, and so over the holidays, recognizing that within your family, within your workplace, within your employee party, you're going to have introverts and extroverts, and just the fact that an introvert showed up for the party, oh my goodness, you've got to give them kudos. You've got to give them a pat on the back, because very often the introverts in an office or in a family just won't even show up. They'll come for 10 minutes and then they'll be gone. You may not even know they were there. So it's a little more difficult for introverts, and I think we have to be as sensitive people who are watching out for each other in the world. We have to look and see if there's somebody who doesn't really want you to bother them because they're really happy in the corner by themselves.
Like I'm not lonely, okay? I might be alone, exactly. But I'm not lonely, all right?
Exactly.
I'm good,
and I think,
I'm good.
Yeah, and sometimes, the best part is just simply being at the party but being invisible. And so very often you'll find introverts are in the kitchen and they're volunteering to do the dishes for you because they're doing something which engages them and keeps people from bothering them, but they're able to listen to the conversation and participate in a different way. And I think if you know a friend who's an introvert, give them something to do, and then they can participate and enjoy the company without having to really spend too much of their personal energy.
I love it. One of the things that I found myself and some of my introvert friends do is we say we're going to be there, and we even get up and, I've even gotten dressed, but then I don't go. Deborah,
yes.
Deborah, do you relate to that at all? It's funny. Your turn, honey. It's Deborah's turn.
Okay. Well, this quote, introverts treasure the close relationships they've stretched so much to make. I want to talk about two words. I want to talk about the word treasure. Treasure is such a rich word. Treasure has such import, such weight, because we really, as introverts, really do treasure the people who are closest to us. but it's often difficult for us to kind of let them know that. And so it's really important for introverts to reach out to their closest friends, those really treasured friends, this season. No matter how difficult it might feel to you. I loved, Bridget, what you said about give introverts something to do. Doing the dishes or whatever, or helping. It allows them to be there. You can be very well assured that they're observing everything and noticing everything that's going on, but they're not pressured to kind of be on the spot and have to talk. And then the second word I want to think about is the word stretch. I love the fact that you use that word because we really have to stretch ourselves in order to extend ourselves to other people. But having made that effort, introverts are loyal, deep, and true friends. And they're able to be both deeply revealing of themselves to their closest friends, and they're really able to take in and to appreciate the depth of personality of other people. And so introverts are fabulous, wonderful people who are able to contain a lot. And, gosh, I hope you invite a lot of them to your holiday parties and put them in the kitchen where they have something to do.
I think that's great. Introverts aren't really, we're talking about it because I've heard so many people lately talk about the difficulty of getting through the holidays because, they may have 3 parties to go to in one day, and that doesn't give any time to refresh in between. And there's always so many people, there's an equal amount, I believe, of extroverts in the world who are, this is the day they wait for all year, is to have party all day and, 3 foods and, 3 meals. And, we don't want to hurt their feelings. And I'm thinking of one person in particular when I'm talking about this, who I won't name, but this particular person is a huge extrovert. And God love them. They're one of the most beautiful people that are in my life. What's a very close family member to me, and it's always a problem for me to say, I'm just going to get a breath of fresh air before you serve dinner. It's always kind of a problem. It seems as if I'm being rude. So, in this next time around, I wanted Bridget and Deborah to kind of approach. Or maybe you've got something on your mind you want to talk about already, but this is something that's important to me. How do you kind of set those boundaries without appearing to be rejection or, let's just say rude? Certainly that breath of fresh air is what gives me that moment to come back and sit down at the table and interact with 20 people. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
It is. Mm-hmm.
So I'll go to Bridget first.
Okay. So I understand what you're talking about, and sometimes people think that there are lots of bladder infections over the holidays because so many people spend so much time in the bathroom, but it's to get away from all the noise and everything else that's going on.
I hadn't thought of that one. Dang it!
Oh yeah, absolutely. So it just depends, if you're on the time of day, and you can get that couple minutes by yourself by looking out the window and saying, "Oh my goodness, what a lovely sunset! I just have to step outside and look at it," and then step outside and look at it. Or if it's dark, then you can say, "It's such a crisp, clear, cool night. I'd love to go look at the stars," and then you step outside and go look at the stars.
I'm gonna have to go to the hospital. I'm laughing so loud.
It's just, but an introvert really needs to have a whole list of tools at his or her fingertips for a time of year that is really an extrovert time of year. And you talked about 3 parties in one day, and so what I suggest for introverts is that they not do 3 parties in one day, pick one. and that you balance things. If you go to a party one day, make sure you're not going the next day. Or if you're going someplace, then make sure you schedule something to pamper yourself afterwards. You go get your toes done, go have a massage, go get your hair cut, whatever it is to take care of you, to restore yourself just that little bit. And make a list of what restores you so you have it. And then keep consulting it. Have I done any of these things for me? Oh, I guess I'd better. So it's a balance that you're trying to have over the holidays, and it's more of a challenge during the holidays than any other time of year, but you need to learn to place yourself first.
I love it. Thank you so much. Deborah, I know you have something to add to that.
Well, I love her idea about, just exit strategies. Whether it's dark outside or sunny outside, you have an exit strategy. Because I've been there before as an introvert. I really like that. I guess what I have found most helpful to me as an introvert are two things. One is having a transition period. It's very difficult for introverts to go from one activity to the next and the next and the next. But if they have a bit of downtime, it doesn't even have to be that long. It can be like 20 or 30 minutes, closing their eyes, getting rid of all stimuli, getting rid of everything and just closing their eyes and regrouping kind of for the next activity. That is very helpful. And the second thing that I've found helpful, because I think as an introvert, we're good listeners. People think that, they want to come and talk to us about everything that's going on in their life.
Everything.
And then as known as a therapist, then I feel like I have a big red T painted on my forehead sometimes. It's like an invitation for people to come over and talk about all the things that they have going on. What I have learned to do, it is, but what I've learned how to do is to be really focused and really present with a person, no matter who they are in that moment. And I just kind of quiet down, and it's almost as though my focus just gets this like tunnel vision. I can really be with that person in that moment, and it might only be 2 minutes. It might only be 45 seconds. But I can be with them, I can listen to them, I can hear them, I can acknowledge where they are. And then having given my very best, frankly, as an introvert, I don't have a lot of patter, other stuff, filler stuff to talk about, but I've given them my attention, my focused attention, and frankly, that is my very best. I feel really good walking away saying something like, "So nice to meet you, will you excuse me?" and walk away. And I have learned that people appreciate that concentrated, focused attention on them. And it doesn't kill me because it's not all night long and because I'm not pretending. I'm not trying to be an extrovert when I'm not.
That's right. I think that's probably putting it the best we can possibly put it, is that we cannot ever pretend to be an extrovert. It just doesn't work that way.
Doesn't work.
Well,
we have to pretend sometimes, like at work, and because the world values extroverts, the corporate world in particular. But when we don't have to do it, we shouldn't do it.
I agree. Well, ladies, we've done exactly what I thought we would do, which is a wonderful, content-rich show. I want to thank both of you for being here, and I will turn the ball over to you one more time for your closing thoughts for our listeners. And while you're thinking about that, I just want to wish all of you a very happy Thanksgiving tomorrow. And our offering tomorrow is going to be from Pamela Lyle, who is a wonderfully wise woman, who's going to be sharing some ways to give the gift of giving a gift without financial strain. So she's a CPA and a chief financial operating officer, and she is going to share with us the greatest gift that she ever received. And it's quite lovely. On Friday, we're going to have some more on Black Friday. Some more wonderful thoughts from Lucia Bettler of Lucia's Garden, which is going to be a great place to shop on Black Friday. Saturday, we have more self-care from Patty Adamick. She's going to be doing the lymphatic system. And on Sunday, it's a special treat with Shirley Cunningham. She is going to be sharing some stories of St. Bridget, and she is a compelling storyteller, a wonderful teacher, and it's going to be great. So thank you so much, all of you, for tuning in today and for the rest of the week. So, Bridget, what are your final thoughts today for our listeners?
My final thoughts would be make sure you play Silent Night for your Christmas holidays. And ask the people around you when that's playing, ask them to share what a silent night would be for them.
You are on a roll tonight, Bridget. I can't wait till next week, and you and I are going to have an offline conversation. All right, Deborah, what are your final thoughts for our listeners today?
I would say before it's too late, because the holiday season has already taken us. It just, we grab onto the end of it and it spits us out at the other end of the new year. But before it's too late, I would say to sit down in your family and discuss what kind of experience you would really all like to have for the holiday season. You might really be surprised to learn that everything you've been doing, all the work you've been doing, isn't really what people want or need. So take the time, sit down, ask the question, what kind of experience do we want to have this year?
Very, very nice. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining me today on our special edition of Gems of Wisdom, the 21 Days of Giving Your Best. And today we talked about introverts and the holidays. We had some wonderful things. And ladies, I am serious. We are going to come back and talk about this again and maybe even put together that survival tips for introverts and the holidays that Reverend Bridget was talking about.
You need that.
I think
okay.
I think we're all on board with putting that together. And so go out there and find someone to give your best to. Thank you all for joining us.